But all things being equal, as nothing ever actually is, it's Friday. We've gathered.
Hell yeah.
We get a respite from the real world as we dive into Bethany. Does everyone remember where we are? And I ask a series of questions to get us jump started, as it were.
I actually believe that me and Lita were just discussing that. I think, as far as my memory serves me, we are in a graveyard confronting Emperor as he vanishes off and starts the boss encounter.
That's exactly where you all were. You, through your odyssey across Bethany, from Shreveport through the dark, facing forces infernal and Arcadian, you have arrived at a cemetery that his sister had asked you all to go to much, much earlier in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And he had luckily pissed off Joji.
Yeah,
Talked about
in the middle of him like talking shit, I was like, wait a second. Joji is a man who has little control over his emotions.
yes. And it
And
is
he,
clear.
no, continue.
No, it's just clear that his intentions are debilitating. Emotionally, of course. The aim of his actions and interactions is to stir the pot with sufficient forces to cause the entirety of the stove to become awash in the mess of everything that's inside that pot.
Fuck you.
And as that is the case, and that's a great place for us to jump into, does anyone have any questions, suggestions, or hypotheses we need to square up before we dive in?
Oh, we're already squaring up, buddy. I'm sorry, ignore me. Um, as it stands, I'm pretty solid with what's going on. Anybody else though?
I'm trying to figure out why my team, my Miro, is loaded with me and Dalton for some fucking reason.
Is it a Freudian slip? Are you wishing and longing for Thornton Township and the adventures of Dalton?
You know, actually, no,
What
no, that
time
was
did
in
you
the
miss, man?
Wednesday game where that was mentioned.
Yes, you will. There is a potential for the shelter to alight upon the roads heading south into Thornton Townships to speak with the man, the myth, the legend, Prince Voivod Ditchabai Lalbu, the one kindred responsible for coalescing the outlaw states and anarch domains of the southern suburbs of Chicago. Him and her, his lead bodyguard and assassin. But,
Hell yeah.
and otherwise, excuse me, I have a headache, which
Someone's feeling the hour.
well, yeah, I have a headache, and I'm trying not to knuckle down and take enough pain medication, make it disappear, because that would inhibit things.
Gotcha.
But all the same, is everyone raring to go?
I'm solid. Everybody else?
Yeah,
Nice.
good.
Excellent. That's where we want to be because there's some things that I'm sure that you all have or have not noticed. Both are valid and valuable. Um, we don't have the RSVP from certain other members of the Bethany Coterie in any of the further episodes, and as such, we're going to operate under the understanding that they will not be involved. And not only here but elsewhere, that is a similar case. So the door is always open. If they will show up, that's fine. If they don't, fine. But there won't be any storyline consideration pre-planned for scene starts or interactions for those characters and those players. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. Now that new business, old business, and all business aside from the magic of these characters' interactions are out of the way, allow me to please offer my thanks for our investment in this hobby, this server, this game, and all of the many invaluable hours that we spent in camaraderie conversation exploring the world of these characters. All of that to say thank you. Thank you and thank you. And an endless amount of appreciations of your times, your talents, and your thoughts. And without continued further ado, this is The Dark of Bethany, Season 4, Episode 3. Tonight's title is, in fact, Frightful Sudden Screams. When we last left the Coterie, as is always the case for these particular group of kindred, they were in the dark of the wildest, unstructured night possible. The stars above twinkling and winking along with all of the chaos that had been fomented by their decisions, their actions, their inactions, and every state in between. The cemetery rising around them as if it was a zombie apocalypse made real. In the wild beyond of the space here in Bethany, at the farthest edges of Bethany, in the County and Parish side of Bethany, the other side of the line, the western extremes, the land is not as fertile as one would expect. There's tons of shrub grass. There are a few copses of trees, but in as flat and placid as the land is, it rolls in on itself. It dies beneath the waves of other ridges and waves of dirt. And it's not the muddy, grayed dirt just across the state line into New Orleans. It is the slightly dry, less moist variety. When it rains, it pours, and creeks become raging rivers and white waters. However, in between those rainy periods, the earth pulls all the moisture back into itself. Only the tougher, hardier, less thirsty variety of plants and grasses pop up out of the not quite verdant plains. The trees here are craggier, harder on the outside. They fight off the climate and temperature. The roots spread farther and deeper, seeking all of that life-giving moisture from the rains and the soil. And as such, the tombstones here, unlike in all these great huge mausoleums, unlike in Shreveport, these huge testaments to a person's life spreading out over 6 and 7 feet. No, the tombstones here are small, thin, compact, but hardy enough to break bone when you crash against them. They're the sort that have been mined from the local shale mines and refortified with bits of iron and tungsten mixed into the mix, so that they stand as edifices to man's unrelenting ability to survive. They are knee height, hip height, some as tall as men themselves, and others popping out of the ground with no more than a toes width of space. There are a maze of oblong, awkward, surprising attempts for others to break their neck as they race through them. And in the still dark of this particular night, They are a hazard unlike anything else because they blend into the darkness. The starlight from above barely illuminating them until they are close enough to reach out and tackle you. And this minefield of potential hazards is where the lovely mad lad himself has taken off into Emperor Leroy. So, long story short story longer than the need being. Let's simplify it so. What do, folks? What do?
Well, Joji, being the courageous fool that he always is, and stirred on by his loosely controlled, poorly controlled anger, is going to start hoofing it off into the bleak abyss that is this graveyard with a just shouted, "Come on, we can't let him get too far away!"
Last I remember, India had already shifted to Mountain Lion and was helping Joji corral him anyway. So they were romping.
Lita, hearing the call of your compatriots, standing along in the dark, what is it that you do?
I guess I follow. Lita is pretty composed and not gonna get her blood up too much about a Malkavian being.
A Malkavian being a Malkavian.
Yeah.
Okay. That being the case, would everyone be so kind as to go ahead and give me a dexterity and athletics check? Unless, of course, you're purposely trying to move with stalking speed, i.e., you're keeping the sounds of the footfalls within range, but you're not trying to actually capture. If that is the case, if you're merely just trying to stay close and not bring them to the ground, then you would simply roll your stamina plus athletics.
Understood. So for Joj, we're gonna go with the trying to harass and corral, but he's not really gonna be the one to be able to do much in the way of actual hurting. Actually, Nobu, give me your opinion on this. This is one of those times where the smarter thing for him, tactically, dots-wise, and his capabilities would be to try and corral them. But I don't know, I'm getting the impression that an angry Joji is not a tactical Joji.
Okay, well, is his intelligence higher than his resolve?
Yes.
Resolve breaks before his tactics. So even angry, there is some small level of tactician, some small level of get the job done, just sheer brain power of applying himself. So while he is angrily, emotionally imbalanced, pursuing the goal that is closest to his heart in the moment, he will do it as tactically as he is possible. He does want to be the one to put his fist through the person. He does want to be the one to kick the shit out of somebody, but he will do it as tactically as possible.
Understood. Okay. Yeah, boom.
The stamina roll. It's a little better for me.
All right. Just a heads up warning, guys. I just got the battery beep from my headset, so if I ever have like a period of time where I'm not responding to you, I'm probably in the process of fixing my headset.
Okay, sounds like a plan. You're making sure that your head is tight.
Hell yes. Gotta keep it screwed on, otherwise I might fly away.
That's not at all how I took that.
All right, well that's gonna be it from me. Um,
Okay. So the 2 and 3, that's 5, 2. So it is an average of 2 higher, meaning that you all need 1 more success, which means it's just a matter of time. As he dips and zips and zaps through the cemetery. While he does have the ability of foresight, and he has the ability and the experience of having existed here far too often, while he's able to zig and zag his way through it, he is not anywhere near the fastest. For all of his ability to blink away from sight, to be there on the tip of your tongue, but not be able to be spoken physically, he is not the monster of your nightmares that he is emotional. He's not the monster of your nightmares that he is spiritually. He, in fact, is quite average. And as he leads you on a merry chase, solely due to his ability to disappear from visual identification, he's able to slip around a tombstone and fade away, and he's able to sidestep. And while you all are watching where you run so that the graveyard itself doesn't send you into your grave, he is not nearly as fast as a hungry mountain lion. He is not nearly as fast as a determined Yogi. And while he, through skill and experience, is able to outwit and outrun Lita, he's able to do so just barely. So as you corner him, as you bring him to ground, beneath the weeping angel of the town founder's grave, as you close in the long shadows of the night, causing you all to seem to be specters from the past come to claim your just due. What is it that you all are about?
honestly, while Joji is angry, I don't think he understands why the fuck we have to kill this man. And even though, like, the only thing that's really got him on the spirit of it might actually need to be done, and it might not just be Malkavian nonsense, is the fact that the Candyman sponsored it to a degree. He himself, I don't think he could bring himself to be positively lethal here. I think Joji's more about that running down and grappling type thing rather than trying to actually murder him. I'm not saying that anybody else should change their intent. I'm not even saying that I've got the correct idea of what's happening here. It's just that that's what feels like would be going through Joji's head. Very much the, I don't know about this.
Me, on the other hand, it's my prey. I caught it. She's going to do what mountain lions do. I fucking caught it. It's mine now.
Oh. What does that translate into?
She's gonna look for the soft spots and take a bite.
Oh, God. Okay, you're going for it. Hell yeah.
Being careful not to harm Joji as he pins the man to the ground or holds on to him, he is going to very closely, with all due breath, sniff and snuffle delicately along his body, looking for the softest, tastiest spot, and then sink her teeth into and start pulling chunks and gobs of flesh away until she gets to something she might particularly like and just sticks her whole snout into the hole.
Oh God, that's violent.
Lita, Joji, you all are there as well. Joji, you've managed to cross face and bring him down atop you as he's struggling. There suddenly appears India.
Yep.
And doing exactly as she is described. It's you understand what a mouse might feel like when staring into the face of a common house cat. You understand what a capybara might feel like staring into the face of a hungry jaguar. You understand what prey, your victims must feel like when the beast is upon you, when your fangs are extended, your hunger sits there plainly in view. And unlike a simple slurping of a victim's entire liquid volume, unlike neatly and relatively daintily sinking fangs beneath the skin and lapping gently at the bubbling blobs and drops of blood, this is visceral. This is violent. There's a investiture in the ruination of the flesh. There's an investiture in the ruination of the stability and sanctity of their bodily form. And while he's kicking and screaming and pushing her away, you are arm wrapped around him, beneath him. If she eats too far, she will eat into you.
Yeah. So while he's grappling him and kind of just, why? Why does this have to? And then she starts digging in, and it's bloody, it's violent, it's horrid, and then there's that self-preservation, that fear, and so it goes from more of a grapple to a oh my God, get off of me. As Joji just realizes, if he holds this guy on top of him, it's gonna turn into 2-for-1 meal.
And later,
I'm pretty. Lita has a pretty strong stomach, but even she's a little off put by this. But she, for now, is just gonna sit back and watch because he is down.
there's but one law of the jungle that holds any bearing on anything and everything that is not, in fact, the apex predator. And that is when the lion is hungry, the lion eats. Another way of viewing it, in fact, is the lion only works when he's hungry. And right now, India's beast, India's lion, is in fact working. And that work is not something that either of you all can comfortably square away. Even during her bipedal forms, when she's her and not giving herself over to the drives of the beast, she'd take pause with this moment. Because it is not the drinking down of another being's soul. This is the ruination of all that they might be. There's no way to hide that they have been maimed, mauled, that they've been physically maligned in a way that would take years, if not decades, of therapy to right. It's enough to shatter a mind. Because, and this is the part that really makes what's happening all the worse. Unlike the mortal living entities of the world, unlike the other animals out there in the dark, unlike the humans that you all pretend and seem to be, as a dead thing, her eviscerating and disemboweling him is survivable 100% of the time. Discarding bits of his innards as she searches and roots around and all of that deadness for a bit of the sweet meats. It is 100% survivable, which means that he will have to continue unliving past this moment, knowing the pain, both physically and mentally, of being gourmandized by a beast.
Yeah, I don't feel so good about this. Especially given that Joji is all about loving thy neighbor. This is not the kind of loving that he's necessarily a fan of. If he was capable of retching, he certainly would. Well, I mean, capable of. I think vampires are, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And
And
it's
yeah.
it's even less of a pleasant thing because the body refuses the vast 99.99% of all of the fluids inside of a kindred is in fact blood. It is fact that sugary, sweet, iron-rich life juice instead of spermatozoa, instead of bile, instead of saline, instead of the gastric acids. It is all blood. It's tinged based on where it is secreted from. Instead of pure sweat, you have blood-laced saline-like solution secreting in those moments where you do actually sweat. Instead of tears, you have, again, blood-rich approximation of those fluids. Your saliva is the only thing that has so little blood as to appear to be the actual substance. But even still, under a microscope, staring hundreds of millions of thousands of times at the fluid that leaks from your mouth, you see that there is still vitae floating through it, binding the small bits of this and that together.
Yeah, all right. Then, as he manages to distance himself from what is happening and kind of backs up, elevating himself with his hands while he's pushing with his legs, and he sees this desecration of a human form. Yeah, he leans over on one side and begins just letting go of his stomach's contents onto the ground, incapable of really holding it down.
India. The beauty in being clan of the beast. The thing that is the open secret that no one ever quite gets. Everyone thinks that gangrel are furries, wannabe werewolves. They are shapeshifters, uka, and trickster spirits, nine-tailed foxes, and other anthropomorphized versions of beast. That is completely 100% untrue. You are, without your compunctions, without your higher drive, without your attempt to blend in amongst the sheep, you are not just a wolf in sheep's clothing. You are 100% predator. This is your conscious mind. This is most people think that it is just you being possessed by the form that you take. No, this is you unbridled. This is you without any compunction towards how other facets of society would respond. This is the weight of the curse of your blood. This is what you are. Your humanity is in direct balance to how much beast you are. Your sense of humanity and society is very much the developed picture of all that you are. And the brighter that developed picture, so too is the darker the negative. And in this particular moment, as your need to chase, as your predator's drive kicked into high gear, as your fuck this dude took over, you are face deep in another kindred's vitae. You are face deep in another kindred's being. And the part that, even as you're biting through bits of intestine and gallbladder and atrophied stomach and lung, as you are working your way through and making sure to avoid, not because you know it's in use, but because even with it being atrophied and not used and used, there's still very much a noxious aspect to the appendix. As you make your way in for those tasty, scrumptious, blood-rich kidneys, your more humane self, your more pragmatic self, crawls up out of the dark, or to be more accurate, swims up out of the blood. You are ingesting the vitae of another kindred. That carries its own sorts of connections that, well, are problematic if the kindred continues to exist. You can already feel the tenterhooks of the blood seeping in. You can already feel the shackles, the soul ties from you to him, slowly coalescing around you. And as you are fractions of an inch from those deliciously lovely and sweet kidney and liver, it hits you. If this kindred continues existing, you would be beholden to him in a way that you don't wish. No one does. You understand the power of what you've managed to avoid the bulk of your existence and your connection to and tied to Joji. But this one, Emperor Leroy, anything is possible. Because as he's screaming and you're face into all of that lovely soft space between rib and hip, the screaming turns to chortling. He's laughing, and it's clear that it is an act, it's an affectation. But then again, maybe it's not. Maybe he is such a masochist that this is, as they say, the perfect way to go. Someone like that. While you want to please him. Wait, no, you don't. Oh, he's a nice enough guy. Wait, no, he's not a nice enough guy. Why are you? And it starts to settle over you.
Oh shit!
But
Unintended consequence.
to fight her way up and out. Not physically, but like mentally. And kind of as that last bit of something before she tries to go back to two legs. The paw is in the rib cage up underneath and trying to hook the heart so she can pull it with her when she pulls away. But she stopped
For those
eating him.
For those of you with softer stomachs, more genteel sensibilities. It is the point of the evening where you withdraw from all of the feral noises. It is the point where your attention turns off. It is the point where the screen fades to black and those murderously high screams begin to, between the exaltations, pain. The screen fades to complete, starless, empty, unending black. Those of you with a stronger sense, for those of you with the wherewithal to see it through, because you gotta see it through, my boy. It is the point of the evening where things go from surreal and questionable to horrifically graphic times two. Because there have been several philosophical ideas as to what it takes to kill and end a kindred. Everyone thinks that the stake through the heart when you first start, and you find out that doesn't do the job, but then sometimes it does. Then everyone knows that there's sun and there's fire. There's the evisceration of head from spine that should do the job, but does not always, in fact, because there's some small vestigial thread connecting the two, some nerve cluster, some bit of sinew holding it in place. While, yeah, it looks separate, but it's not completely so. So there's a iota of halt. The same for the heart. It could be sliced in half. It could be quartered. It could be, unfortunately, removed and devoured as you all watch happen. And it does not end whatever strange chaotic magic that holds you all bound in flesh immortally. It shifts you into that between space. It places you wholly and firmly into the dreamscape of torpor. It does not end your existence. Being disemboweled does not end your existence. Being savaged does not end your existence. It is a culmination of several things. And as you watch India shift back into a more bipedal version of herself, holding the unbeating, bloodied heart with several tendrils and bits of gobbets of flesh and tied nerves and fatty tissues and organs that you're not quite entirely sure should exist or should be seen outside the human form, yet are sticking to. And the aortic artery, which is this huge, relatively long, sinew-like structure with all these various outcropping and roots growing up and out of it, attaching to other parts of the body, hanging like overstretched rubber bands covered in cherry flavored jello that hasn't quite set. This is that moment. This is the moment where the testament of the strength of your stomach and intestinal fortitude is pushed to its absolute limit. Because if the grotesquerie of it all would stop, what's in her hand would be fine. But shifting back, after putting her face inside another warm, semi-solid being, the proof of it drips and hangs from her jawline, the tip of her nose. There's a bit of a splotch and splatter near her left eye that would be, if any other color, seemed to be an artistic painting of who and what she is. Down the entire front of her is this huge river of dark, almost black red, the arterial blood that was pumping through the stomach. Her jeans are violet in color in various places. Her top, which, well, there's wet t-shirts and then there's bloody t-shirts. The only difference between the two is the color. And her top and her shirt sticks and clings in places, allowing you to know that she is 100% feminine.
I suppose there's a round, or at least another round, of just I don't know what I am supposed to feel before he eventually manages to get his stomach in control and just is it done? Is he gone?
Probably not.
He looks over towards what is now left of their quarry. I hope he is. I don't think I'd ever want to be in that state and survive.
Just looking at him like, what's the problem? No, I think his head gotta come off.
Okay.
Do you really need to?
I mean, if he's still kicking and I took his heart, what else can we do? Unless you want to leave him here for sunrise.
Are you one of you okay with doing it? It feels wrong. This whole thing feels wrong. Fuck, I used to stay up late talking to this guy. Well, it's late for us.
3 months ago, on the rooftop of your shop, you, Emperor and Empress, a strange trio, a strange threesome by anyone's stretch of the imagination, as you stretched back watching the supermoon move across the night sky, and they stretched back, cuddled up as if they were not, instead of brother and sister, as if they were long lost loves who hadn't seen each other in years instead of seconds. Your provided donors lazily dozing in the lounger on the other side of the roof, the radio gently whispering of this and that, some song you almost knew years upon years ago. And Empress asking the question, the heavy, surreal question. What if living forever is just a punishment we inflict on the world instead of owning up to our own sins? Because every night something we love dies or is weakened, and the only way we can keep it here or keep it as it is to kill it, is to end its life and damn it into being what we are. And that's troubling when you think about it. The only way to have a shot, a chance of immortality, is to die. Joji, you were in love once before.
Several times.
No, I mean actually in love. Not die love. Not kill love. But exist in perpetual state of torment love. You've only been there once. So far. What would you do? Could you, to protect that love, go back and kill it?
No, I don't think I've got that in me.
Then you weren't even in love that time. The only way to keep something safe in our world is to kill it. The only way to protect it from the pain that we're going to cause it. The only way to keep it safe is to make sure that neither you nor anything else can ever affect it again. if I was to die, if I was going to die, if I was never going to see anyone or anything that I loved, I don't know what I'd not do. I know what I would. I'd make sure that they died before I did, so that we can hang out in heaven or hell or whatever comes next. I'd make sure. And it's funny, as she's saying that, as you're laying on that roof, staring up at that sky, she's gently stroking the small space between his shirt, her finger against his chest, and him smiling on, nodding. I'd help you do that. I don't think anybody else would. And nobody else could help you do that. It come down to me and you know that, right? With you dying and all. Yeah, I know. And with that moment slipping away and you back here in the graveyard with India holding Emperor's heart, threatening to remove his head, with Lita staring on as one would a made for TV movie. What is it that you all do?
Fuck. That very powerful, palpable memory stuck in his head. And very, almost poetically, if not straight up prophetically, tied to this moment. I think Joji, closing his eyes, is just going to lean over what is left and quietly whisper to the mostly corpse, I'll make sure you two keep your promise. It won't be too long. You won't be alone too long if she doesn't beat me to it. No. I'm guessing she might already be gone. He says as he leans back and gently kisses him on the forehead before making his distance and just, India, please.
Yeah, well, trade him the heart for the axe that I think he had. Or did he not have an axe? I think he had an axe. Or something similar. Trading him for the bladed weapon. She is going to take a stance like she's done millions of times before, cutting wood for the house. Aim up with the neck, and do what she needs to do. The blade's going to come up and come down, and she's going to try to drive that blade into the ground and separate the head from the body.
Aim through. Yep.
There is a resounding thud as the earth refuses to accept the length of the blade. There's a finality to it all. The very real aspect that all that they were, all of what they may have been somewhere along the way, is no longer a factor in anything else. And for Lita, who, unlike the rest of the Coterie, is able to intuit by several different paths of study, knowledge, and actually being able to feel the nuclear radiation of souls moving on, of what they are no longer being in any semblance of the word remotely valid in this state of being. Emperor is no nuclear detonation that happens every time a soul passes over, crosses over, dies. That 21 grams ceasing to be, and that's what you feel. That they were is now non-existent.
Okay. Okay, that's done. He says as the rapidly decaying ick that it was once the kindred's heart just kind of, I guess, slops through his fingers and out the other side. Oh fuck! I don't want to be here. He begins to just walk off with assuming someone's going to follow him.
Lita goes after him.
Yeah, watching
Does
them
oh, go
for
on.
a couple seconds. But she realizes it's kind of fucked up to just, I mean, even though he's disintegrating, just leaving him out in the open like this, even though it's up against a headstone, she's going to, sorry, mental picture, just kick leaves over him, kind of like a cat staring a poop.
Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible.
So yeah, that's kind of what she does. She kind of like starts kicking leaves and stuff over him. He'll probably catch her and son tomorrow, but they won't be here for that, so it doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, all the bits and pieces that she can find that she hasn't either eaten or, uh, yeah, just kind of gather them up and bury them with leaves and shit. And then once she's done with that, she'll put the axe over her shoulder and kind of like start following behind the other two.
Okay. He says once everybody catches up. What? What are we up to now? We ran in here from something, but I don't know what the hell we were running to, really.
Well, we were trying to get a vehicle because I need to change of clothes now. And a bag.
Well, I think if I remember, and it's hard to forget, I think there was a tank behind us, which, kind of weird.
Not
Yeah.
entirely. My brother was a soldier.
Wait, your brother's hunting us?
Not hunting. But here, present, yes. Miri has been using him to corral me and keep me in line. But I don't think he's resting on the other side like he's supposed to be. I think something happened and he's stuck on this plane of existence.
Alright, well, I guess add that on the list to do. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be useless for a little while. I'll just follow you guys.
Anybody notice Annabelle just fucking up and disappeared yet again? That turning invisible shit is getting old.
We did see her come in here, though, right? She's not.
Yeah, she was with us.
Okay, good. Good. I would hate for her to just be out there somewhere with whatever the fuck was chasing us.
No, I think she's the teacher's pet, so she's pretty safe. But yeah, we need a vehicle and we need to avoid the cops. And I mean, y'all can come stay with me because I have a pretty safe out there in the woods sort of place where nobody would find us unless people have been spying and followed us.
I mean, that sounds fine. At least until tomorrow, and then I guess we figure out where we go from there.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, India will start leading them towards a main artery so they could maybe get either a more direct path to her place or some sort of vehicle so that they can get their section.
In the grand scheme of things, with all of forever sitting there before you all, each night takes a toll that is only perceptible to those who are victim to it. It's much like that old chestnut. How many straws does it take to break the camel's back? And as is always the case, it is only but one. That very last one. And like all of the tens of thousands and hundreds of millions of straws that you can pile upon a camel's back, it is that one straw too much which breaks it all. And for you all, each of those straws can be felt as they add it on, because each straw, each night that carries you forward in time could be that last one. That final one severing you from every idea of your humanity, severing you from every idea of the consideration of anyone else's humanity, of anyone else's pain, and anyone else's sense of being. Everything simply a matter of what might feed you. Everything else falling into the unmeaningless. And so as the night ends with you all safely on the Love Ranch at the far back of the West 40, it is 11 after the hour. Let's take a quick 10 and be back here at 21 Avenue. Welcome back, everybody.
Hey,
Who's all with us?
pretty sure me and Lita are definitely here.
Welcome back. Oh, all of that, and I forgot to grab the most important thing. 1 second. Yes, the nectar of the gods ambrosia. All right, folks, friends, fellows, and fellowesses. Tomorrow comes for everything, even if we're not here to witness it. In the case of the kindred, as they fall back to and return to the safety of India's sanctuary, tomorrow, as that comes, so too does the day after, and the day after, and the day after. The days pile up and stack one upon the next. mirroring with one small aspect or another, asking small things. Nothing that takes you out of your drives, your reasons for continuing, your reasons for bearing up under the weight of immortality and all of the many things that come with it. Two weeks from Matty's ceasing to be. 2 weeks from you all realizing that there were things out there in the dark that go bump nearly as hard as you. 2 weeks from being responsible for the ending of Emperor Leroy, only to find out that he was not the only kindred soul to expire that night. Emperor, Empress, Matty, all gone. The list of kindred that you've all lost these last few weeks, by your hand or by others, being Monica, Liam, Emperor, Empress, Renee, the kindred lost in Shreveport due to the internecine strife and the factors you all know are at play. You know that there is a rebellion afoot. You know that there is growing and mounting tensions there that threaten to pop the entirety of the balloon. You know that for all of Smith Johnson's personal power, that against the might of so many determined kindred picking at the edges, it is only a matter of time. You know that with your missions against the Tremere as a whole, and separately, it is only a matter of time. With 2 weeks, a fortnight of time, what is it that you all, together or separately, seek to accomplish?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lita, I believe that he was down for helping Joji get a hold of the stuff necessary to go and effectively do a raid on the Tremere Chantry in Shreveport, because, well, we're still on the mentality that he's the one that killed our friends, and thusly needs to fucking die. The prince is there. Beyond that, our general dissatisfaction with the entirety of the Shreveport Tremere body. I was somewhat under the impression that our issues with the Tremere here are more or less gone with the death of the Tremere party member whom they very much despised. And so we're just kind of moving about and I guess acquiring materials necessary to make the bomb she was asking for.
Lita, are you concurring? Or is there something else that you would be also including your efforts on? And the bomb is for the Chantry house that you all visited in Shreveport, correct?
I believe that was the intention, yeah.
Yeah. I also wanted to look into finding some kind of, like, maybe an anti-fire weapon. Like, I don't know exactly what I'd be looking for. Like, dragon's breath rounds, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, India.
India is going to help them whatever they might need from her. She's not the brains of the operation. She's the physical labor, but she is also going to, in that 2 weeks, work on getting them cleared so that the cops in the local town are not looking for them any further. So, family lawyer, whatever she has to do kind of behind the scenes and get that shit dropped.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do a quick approximation as to what that looks like. Wait a second. Let me just compile the uh, dice pools necessary for that.
I feel like if they could get that dropped, they would be able to move around town a lot easier than constantly having to look over their fucking shoulder.
Okay. That being the case. All right. So Joji, with Lita and India helping you to attain the necessary materials to create a bomb large enough to be effective against a wide group of mystically enhanced or focused kindred, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma plus contacts plus 3?
Charisma contacts 3. All right. Charisma. So 6. And this is a long form check, so you can't rouse with it, correct?
And in regards to obtaining and seeking out weapons designed to be far more effective against kindred specifically, Lita, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus either resources or allies or contacts?
I'll go with resources.
And India, for your attempt to mitigate all actual kind legal issues bombarding the group, would you be so kind as to go ahead and use your manipulation plus either politics or investigation?
That is a very tiny pool. Would I be able to use contact?
You have a specific contact in law enforcement? That's the only reason why I hadn't suggested contacts as the base pool, because I didn't remember India having any legal assistive contacts. And just because you can't rouse doesn't mean you can't use willpower.
Absolutely. Feel free.
Mind your mind or it will surely spoil it down. Straight down in the soil. Nothing comes from nothing, come on. Royal you smoke or poke the poison.
Okay. Her
You
contact is
see
Coterie, which is a vet
tomorrow.
track, but Coterie is related to local law enforcement.
Yes, but no pull or effect of his own.
No, so yeah, she's
He,
vet.
I'm a bubble and boil, stab like dagger, make you stagger on a hot tip boil. Mind your mind or it will surely spoil it, then you sleep down in the soil. Nothing comes from
Does
nothing, come on.
arousal work for that pool or no?
Does what work for that?
Does arousal work for a manipulation pool, or is it only like physical things?
No, because it's a long-term action, and you can roll with the dice pool and then willpower afterwards.
Yeah.
Chance to be tomorrow. Use the chance. Look out on the horizon. I see the sadness, the pain, and the sorrow. I can't say enough about the stuff. What it has in store. When you smoke or poke the poison,
Why is it saying
you
I'm
give me
mentally
a
impaired?
name more. You are
Why?
mentally impaired. Subtract 2 dice. That means you've exhausted your willpower, or you took willpower damage, filling up your willpower. Go ahead and let's take a quick look. Enter
Oh, because you didn't do
display.
awaken.
You didn't do awaken. Okay. Did everybody else do awaken? So that they, or would it make a difference for anybody else who may or may not be impaired?
It wouldn't impair me. That is something I'm sure of.
Hey, that being the case, with the result of reaching out into the ether, tapping the person that you were able to touch, who's able to touch someone else, who's able to get things done for you, using all of your wiliness, your experience, and your educations to your favor, knowing the local area, both socially and physically, and doing everything in your power to attain and achieve those various goals over the last fortnight. It has resulted in you all gathering once more at the Love Ranch. Joji, you have been able to accumulate the prescribed items to create a explosive device large enough to be effective. Lita, you have found and chased and heard of several mysterious weapons that should be of use against Kindred, only to find time and time again the dragon's breath rounds that you found ruined the chamber of your firearm in the test firing. The reported dragon's tooth dagger, while it looked great and would cause massive blood loss, is still just unfortunately dagger. And the spear fragment of the fragments of the spear of Longinus were fakes. The Banu Hakim assassin that you were sure you can get your hands on or get a chance to speak to, who would make sure that you could find the implements necessary to cause massive harm and damage to Kindred. Well, you didn't quite meet them. In fact, as far as you can tell, you wasted that several $1,000 finder's fee because you haven't heard a god blessed thing. There is unfortunately no refund. And while the police are looking at and chasing down leads, you all are on the bottom of their list. You're not removed from the list, but you are on the bottom of their list for the many crimes that have been foisted in your general direction. So gathering back at the Love Ranch, implements in hand, the building of the device and the implementing of the device are all that lay ahead of you. And as surreptitious as you have been in accumulating all the things necessary to create the device, you are positively sure that if anyone knew or could trace back any of the components, it would be a shitstorm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't just make a bomb in Kindred Society, because those are almost always meant for someone.
So as you gather, what information do you all have to share with one another? What is it that you all are in this last final line to cross to carry out that follow through? What is it that you all are discussing?
All right. This is pretty much the last stop, I guess, before it's no return. Does anyone not want to commit? Because once I get this thing up and running, and once we do this, if there's even a rumor that it was us, shit's gonna go down.
Just to say this, using a bomb is a good way to start a federal investigation.
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think they will let it come to that.
Hopefully.
I mean, technically, we'd be blowing up a mosque, so they would assume it was some sort of a crime. Probably.
I mean, yeah, we're blowing up a... Yeah, it's not gonna look good on paper to anybody.
Yeah.
But, that also means that if they're looking for anti-Muslim groups that would do a bomb, there's no short supply of them around here that aren't us. And honestly, with the way that people are fucking stupid, they will probably take credit for it, even if they didn't do it.
Which would help keep the heat mostly off of us, which is a good enough plan for me. I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. I did get the cops off my ass enough for that. We are low priority to them, but we are not enough for them.
Yeah. And I honestly, I think this is a way to send to the Tremere a message to stop fucking around. What their response to it will be is either extremely violent or a pullback. Either way, I think another conflict is ahead of us after this. But it's whether or not this incenses them that matters.
I think what it is we need is mostly just to put them into enough amount of chaos for Mirrory to do whatever Mirrory had planned, which is what we were supposed to do, or what we signed on to do, I guess. So, yeah, we probably still will have to deal with bullshit after this, but we need to just throw them in enough disarray that maybe she could do more or take over what we left behind.
Yeah. I think, I suppose Dr. Annabelle would very much like this course of thought, but I think if we call on Mary to help us deal with what remains, that might be an idea. Or fuck, she might just do it herself once there's a weakness in the Tremere that she can exploit.
Well, I do have a one small bit of concern. Well, I have a lot of concern, but at the same time, I don't know what the fuck we're supposed to do about it. We're blowing up the Tremere headquarters. That place is spooky enough as it is, and she's a demon or whatever the fuck she is, and we had already made the hole between the worlds bigger. That's what we agreed to. So blowing up a place of power seems like blowing the doors wide the fuck open. Further.
Yeah. I don't know. We've gone this far. That's the way I look at it. If you guys want to step out, I'm not gonna blame you.
Like I'd let you have all the fun by yourself. That's silly.
Yeah. But they did clinch it, not stand.
What they did to Clint, what they let somebody do to Matty. I mean, we didn't always get along, but they fucking killed Matty.
So do you think
In
it
a
would be better
horrible
to...
way.
Do you think it'd be better to clear out the Tremere that remained here in Bethany then? Because I'm pretty sure it was the Bethanite Tremere that did that.
The one Bethany Tremere, I mean, does the rest know what he did? Or
Probably.
should we start from the root down to the branches?
I honestly don't know. I'm not entirely comfortable purging the entire clan. I know I was saying I was, I know, but it's one of those, like, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to actually do it.
So we think if we take out Shreveport, that's enough target for them to be scrambling to replace whoever and leave us the fuck alone. That's what we're hoping for.
Perhaps, yeah, they very much might be freaking the fuck out.
Okay, well, and then we got our plan. How are we gonna get this thing in there, though? I mean, do we think that they're expecting us, or maybe that they would start suspecting that we're gonna come for them? How do we get in?
No one ever expects the front door.
Yeah, that's true. Wait, who said that?
Why, I did. Forgive the intrusion. With the door being so poorly secured, I assumed that with all of the feelers Miss Cambridge put out, that I was expected. Normally, I'd expect a warmer reception, typically at the end of firearms or some other such, but I'm glad you all are peaceful and just simply going about your nights.
Who is this? The OOC, who is this?
I think this is the contact I was supposed to meet.
Oh, forgive the intrusion. My friends called me Justice, and my enemies called me Justice, so you can call me Justice.
Okay. Hello, Justice?
She is wondering how the fuck she got past and the horses didn't alert her because the horses don't like any unfamiliar smells.
I
Nope,
think
not in the least. And your senses should have alerted you to if there was any sound to hear.
I believe our friend of the Banu Hakim.
Oh,
I'm gonna go make sure my horses ain't dead.
They're not. They're lovely beasts, though I noticed that you have a few wilder strains mixed in. Very understanding and conservative of you to do so. Most breeders ensure that they breed out all of the natural local stock. It's good to see that you have.
Hmm. Well, why thank you. And she just kind of starts blushing.
yeah, hi. I'm Joe G.
Yes, Mr. Garcia, your reputation precedes you. Caitlin said that you were trustworthy despite your present situation.
Present situation?
Surely you all are aware that every portion of the tower is under the watch of someone else. Every domain has its security points. And Shreveport's been on the list of concerns for a very long while, second only to Las Vegas.
Oh. How do you know how she's doing out there? By the way, I know you're probably a well-connected fellow.
Not as well connected as I would like to be. That's the reason why I'm here in the bottom of the bottom of the barrel. Forgive me for saying so bluntly, but Bethany, as the gateway drug to Shreveport, is a vital tactical concern. And while the prince here has her supporters and is well regarded, it is an open secret that the area, from Kansas all the way to the coast, is currently embattled. And that each of you all, in one way or another, could use what assistance we can provide.
Okay.
I normally don't work outside of the East Coast, but when the message was relayed, I came as quickly as I could. I had a friend, though that's stretching the definition of the word. An associate in the area. Her sister, problematic, has recently gone missing as well. And it is the impression of several archons that there is a ploy and a plot in play involving a member of the Anarchs from further east. Are either of you all familiar with Mal Davis from Chicago?
No.
Yeah, we're afraid of that. Mal Davis is a caitiff bastard from the loins of the former present region of Chicago, as far as anyone can tell. No one's supposed to know this, but as far as all of our research shows, shortly sometime in the mid to late 80s, the region of Chicago begat progeny that no one was supposed to know about, along with an actual childer. Both of them went underground, the childer being accepted into the ranks of the Tremere, met their end during the War of the Blood Red Moon. Mal Davis, thanks to several years of investigation and breaking down the spells hiding her origination, despite all of the very potent vitae that seems to be coursing through her system, we believe is, if not a direct childer of, then an experimented, cative childer of Nikolai, the former primogen of the Chicago Tremere. Maldavis, during the rise of Voivod Albu, has disappeared. We hoped deceased. Unfortunately, it seems as if that she may not be. There was a strange manifestation known to be one of the many crafted spells she mastered. It appeared about 4 weeks ago, and disappeared equally as quick. Unfortunately, that was enough to send a signal flare up the line of Archons. And when Miss Cambridge's research into weaponry of the offensive nature targeting kindred reached our ears, to say the least, I'm here. I don't want to be here, but I need to be here. I was pulled away from my assignments in Las Vegas to root out the Coterie potentially responsible for the death of, currently in the offing investigation.
Oh.
How can I help? How can I stop you all from violating the traditions and doing something irrevocable?
Ye, how do we go about fighting the Tremere without violating the traditions?
Well, to put it plainly, as long as they are still manifestly alive, manifestly immortal, even if they're no longer ambulatory, you have not violated the tradition. If you are operating in the defense of self, domain, and the masqueraded self, you haven't violated the traditions.
So, find a way to dispose of them that doesn't kill them? Actually fully kill them.
Anyone, do any of you, because I've only been in town for the last 3 days, know where I might find a Matty Woodburn?
Oh, yeah, no, the Tremere car bombed her.
And do you have proof of this?
We have proof that somebody car bombed her, and we have proof that the only person, as far as we're aware, with lethal intent against her is one of the Tremere here in town.
And which Tremere would that be?
Oh god, I gotta fucking remember his face. Just a moment as I scroll through the mirror. Jonathan Connor. He's a attaché to the Regent.
You mean the acting regent of Bethany?
Acting? What
The what
happened?
now?
Yes, Regent Wolverine and the Scourge are no longer amongst us. Scourge Rodriguez, I understand his name was to...
What the fuck happened?
We are investigating. So you'll notice that a few of us non-locals will be floating around town. We have full leave from Prince Smith Johnson of Shreveport, and we have full leave from not only the Prince herself, Miss Carlson Garcia, but also the Sheriff, Mr. Pierre Valentin. He should be escorting several of my associates through town. And while they operate most officially, I typically try the other way.
Well, acting or not, he hated Matty and had it out for her. So yes, he would be the reason she was no longer in existence.
And you're basing this off of his emotional state or off of his skill set to arrange a car bomb for Miss Woodburn?
Not a bit of
Mostly.
both.
Recently, something we were accidentally involved in led to his maiming. Indirectly, we did not maim him. Something of a mystical incident did. And since then, troubles have been arising for us.
Understand.
Joji's own haven was burnt down.
Yeah, I heard that you all were most recently experiencing no small bits of trouble. Luckily, with any blessings from on high, we should be able to sort some order out of things in due time. God bless it. And with Mirori's guidance, I'm sure that we'll be able to get to the bottom of this sooner rather than later.
Oh. He kind of looks between the individual and Lita. Did you... What's going on?
That's the,
What do you mean?
no idea. We're curious how you know about Mirror.
Do I know about Mirror? Long story short, why wouldn't I? All goddesses, whether believed to be demons or not, have their worshipful. It'd be a very large fallacy to assume that only a handful of people are special enough to know that she exists.
Okay, that's a plausible explanation. You are aware of her recent release?
Yes, it's one of the reasons why I was okay with being summoned from my assignment in Las Vegas.
Ah. Well, happy to meet you again. I'm saying that I'm happy to meet you again, not that we've met before.
We have in passing. Your work in St. Louis with Kalen is case study for many of the burgeoning Elasters and Archons.
Oh. At that, he just kind of seemingly shrinks. It's hard to see from like the outset, but there's very much a drawing back within himself as that's brought up. That's certainly news to me.
It shouldn't be. You should be proud of the work you and Kalen managed for the tower over the years. It is without exaggeration fundamental. Your efforts in exposing the lapses in security that many kindred rely on, your ability to rout out those less than forthright members of the tower, and your definitive actions to remove the threats to what we are.
That's high praise coming from a member of the Bethany.
I mean, for it to be, it is in fact just a statement of fact. Your work previously has benefited the width and breadth of all kin. Because those basic fallacies that you all exploited and used to carry out the duties assigned you, they're educational. It's the reason why many of our vaunted present authorities are far safer because of it. If not for your efforts previously and the study of how you all were able to accomplish what you were able to accomplish, then the assassination attempt on Prince Benedict would have been successful. If not for your efforts, the battle and war of Gary would have failed. Prince Dusable is seated in a place of power and causing it to grow to become a center of the country destination because of your efforts.
That's nice. So how do we dispose of our problem then, if we're not able to? I guess there are a few ways, but I don't know. I'd like to resolve the issue, and if it doesn't have to come to violence, that's, I'd say, preferable for everyone involved, especially the stability of the region.
He pauses and holds up a finger. What's done in the dark eventually comes to the light. Eventually. Your goal is to prevent that eventuality for as long as you can. And with that, he starts moving around the room, making sure the door to other spaces in India's haven aren't accessible. And he begins turning on every light.
I see. Okay. He
You
says,
just have
just
quite a
kind
few
of,
lamps.
yeah, kind of just taking the hint from him, starts following his lead and just moving shit around, I guess.
Are there any mirrors in here?
There's only one in what amounts to like a bathroom. I mean, it's a small, like, little wash-up area. It's got like a cowboy tub and a sink, and that's literally the only place that has a mirror in the whole of the loft area, because it's basically like a big barn loft that has been turned into a living space.
He makes sure that the mirror is covered.
Oh,
Shadow. Present. It takes him a considerable amount of time, and he does so without ever looking into the mirror or staring into the shadows of the room that you all are inhabiting.
oh.
The moment that he does, he produces a black candle. It's about 2.5 inches in diameter, and he strikes it using an electric zippo. It's between you, waiting till the flame fully takes shape. The moment that the flame bursts into life, it stops throwing out visible light. It appears to be a very just smoky wick, but the truth of the matter is there is light radiating. Those of you with the ability to see shadow into oblivion and the other planes of existence will denote the light has a bluish tint to it. Once he does so, he crouches near the candle, looking at each of you all. We don't have much time. For your sake, for mine, it is very important that you continue what you're doing in a way that does not alert the shadows around you or the dark that you have changed your mind. She will be extraordinarily vindictive if you don't follow through on your arrangement with her. And then he looks to you, Lita. You, by not actively joining, but still a party to those who have a certain amount of leeway that the others do not. You need to aid them in getting free of her as quickly as possible. We don't have much time. She will notice the candle very, very soon.
How do we get
If
free?
you complete the letter of the agreement without the spirit, our goal was for you all to lay low and destroy whoever it was. I'm guessing the same thing as it was in Las Vegas with you all targeting the Tremere and or the Hakata. One of the two were responsible. She's a multifaceted being existing in multiple places at once. The stronger she gets, the more places she can once return to. The Tremere here, in accordance with the Hakata, laid her low and used her energy to help with the boundaries here. It was always her plan to come back here. It was always her goal to come back here and reap her vengeance. Unfortunately, like a stone thrown into a calm lake, the ripples of that are magnified and will ripple across this country and potentially the world if she's not stopped with enough time. You have to do so without ever alerting her that that's your goal.
Okay.
Way for her to beat is for her to beat herself. Not sure what that means, but you've all tapped into something now and you're along for the ride. And then he puts out the candle. So I will do everything I can in my power to assist. You all need to stay free of as many spiritual influences as possible. If you can, find a candle such as this and use it to your benefit. It will keep lesser spirits and sometimes even greater spirits from being able to eavesdrop on you. The things in the dark fear the light, but this candle keeps them at bay. Sets up a temporary cone of silence. They won't be able to interpret whatever it is that you're saying. However, it will also attract their attention. So you must be prepared for the fallout of that.
Understood.
And whose attention are you seeking to avoid justice? Stepping out of the winged shadows of the eaves of the space is mirroring. You've all seen her dressed before, physically present before. You have not seen her dressed as she is now. A bodycon style, high slit dress with a small brim fedora and a veil drifting and draping across her face. Her lips full, dark as sin. Her muscle tone returning. Clearly no need to hide behind huge hoodies or baggy clothes any longer. She slinks from the shadows and you can hear her footfalls as she makes her way wholly into the space. He's instructing them as to how to protect themselves from the other spirits that may be about. They were attacked, well, beset by spirits earlier on, and Miss Cambridge, Lita, I believe her name is, reached out through a network to gain my attention. She didn't know it was my attention, and she didn't understand that we are all connected. So that they can carry out whatever it is they're attempting to carry out without drawing attention to themselves. Why are you helping Miss Cambridge? She is an agnostic, aren't you, Lita?
I liked the book. I mean, if you're gonna convince me to your side, it was a good start.
Hmm. So you are slowly opening your eyes. That's good. But I offered. I cannot offer. And you can ask whenever you like.
He looks over at Lita with a something of a panic. I I think she's still thinking it over.
That
But
is a shame.
yeah. So how are things going on your end? I know that we're all.
Lovely.
Yeah, we heard that the local regent was disposed of. Was that you?
In a manner of speaking. Luckily, the mere as problematic as they can be are fairly easy to allow their worst traits to bubble up to the surface.
Well, shit.
You'd be amazed how those who plumb the depths in the dark, how fearful they actually are of it.
Well, there's something to be said about lack of knowledge leading to fear, but I found with a lot of things since I've been inducted into all this, the more you know, the more questions you have. And
She sits. When she moves her skirt, the hem of her dress that she's actually wearing, to sit, there's no chair there. But as she comes to a rest, the light bit of shadows that were in the room form a throne beneath her. And as she sits and begins lightly stroking the air with her fingers, just feeling the warmth in the room and the lack thereof, India, you can swear that she draped over your shoulder, one arm from your left side to your right, allowing you to keep your right arm free to draw down, lightly playing at the edges of your hair. Far too intimate for someone well, who you've never seen naked and who's never seen you naked. It's that close physical presence that speaks of quiet moments alone, a lazy Sunday afternoon when there's nothing to do but explore oneself. And there's the scent of the room, the drifting bougainvilleas and various other floral scents off in the distance, the melding of it and the heather, the hay that horses are fed by, a scent of all of that raw power sweat clinging to their coat, the sort of lazy end of the week afternoon that you'd while away and, well, the way that you'd while it away. You're sure that she's physically 15 to 30 feet from where you are, sitting near the center of the room on her throne, but you can feel all of that magnified presence draped across your shoulders like you shared, like you were Eskimo sisters or closer.
Definitely with her inner beast being very much a cat, even though it's a large cat. It's the feeling of don't fucking touch me. I don't want to be pet right now, and she's controlling the urge to curl her lip in a snarl and just kind of stands very still. The man that you left on the throne here was the very one that sent a spirit after us to watch and try to throw us off. So we need protection from that and any other thing he might send us. And your friend here was explaining how best to do that.
Oh, no, not friend. Like you all. Hierophants. Supplicant. A member of us. A friend, no. Friends, well, friends are completely and separately other things entirely. Friends can betray. You're okay with it. Can break your heart. And you'd suffer through it. Friends can break your trust. They can deceive. But you would tolerate it. You would not seek vengeance against them and everything that they've touched. No. Justice here is from New York via Las Vegas. Surprised me he was in Vegas after everything that was done to make sure that New York would be his hunting ground. Seems as if everything is just changing. Mahmoud would look so poorly upon you forsaking the city. But I'm glad you're here, helping these. The moment that she does that and you hear the rattle of something in the near distance, Joji, there is a difference between Kaylin and India, not just in presence. But as Kindred don't have a scent, you know that it's all in your mind. The scent that Kindred have, or that they foist upon themselves, is one of affectation. Perfumes smell like perfumes on Kindred. There's no interaction with their body chemistry.
Okay.
And because of that, you're able to pick out a fragrance that reminds you of a Kindred because it is in fact that fragrance, because there's no other altering of it through that Kindred's body chemistry. And Kaylin and India have different scents that they call their own. Kaylin and India are alike enough and separate enough because both of them are forceful, directed, willful individuals. Yet that difference is palpable. And as you begin to smell Kaylin's scent mingling and mixing with India's scent, there's a trilling of the unbeating heart that starts in your chest like an alarm being set off.
Oh,
Lita, being close to your maker when you were in Shreveport was a taste of heaven. You know, the many, many thoughts and many, many philosophies and many, many paths of academic exploration of the unknown and unseen world that were close enough for you to bathe in. It's like being close enough to Christmas Day that you could smell it, and yet you still can't open your presents. And you can hear the clearing of his voice. You can hear him beginning to ramp up into sharing some bit of apocryphal knowledge. As Mirrory looks from one of you to the next, waiting on further explanation. Dia, would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus insight as high as you can?
Okay.
As this is an in the moment, am I allowed to rail for this?
You can.
Is this something we can all roll for?
No, unfortunately not.
Oh no.
It is clear looking at the faces before you. It is clear being in the room where you all are. It's like walking in church mid-service. Everyone looking towards the door as you look for a pew to disappear into. Everyone immediately aware of the time when you arrived. Everyone immediately distracted from their supplication before their God and before the communal sharing of spirit. Looking into the faces of your coterie, looking to the faces of justice, you are sure that dancing behind their eyes is mirroring. You're sure that she is with them, with you, always. You're very, very sure that even now she is gently ciphering through whatever superficial thoughts that they have about what's just taking place. Unless, of course, you find a way to distract her.
India is going to start thinking about the death of Emperor and how that felt, and the visceral, like everything, she's going to remember it and picture it in her mind and focus on how it felt, how it smelled, how it made her feel. That's what she brings to the forefront of her mind.
Thought. That is an amazing thought. And you can't fight cavities brushing your teeth with sugar water. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, Joji's not conscious of the fact that something is scrambling his noodle right now looking for the egg.
How close is Joji to India by the way?
Oh, like, probably within arm's reach, honestly. It's one of those, like, I can't quite keep myself away from you type problems, you know? It's a me thing.
While she's thinking of the murder and the murder of Emperor, there's also unfinished business between her and Joji, and she is, in an attempt to save him from whatever he might be thinking, she's going to grab him and kiss the shit out of him.
Yeah, whatever he was thinking just went out the window, but this is cool, this is fun. I don't know why this is happening, but I'm down with it.
And she's going to hope that the kiss confuses Lita enough to think about what she's seeing rather than anything else.
Just looking for hooks and ties, please.
When you all have the chance, being as you all are assisting, we'll take the average of your rolls with a +1 to the highest. With each of you roll your manipulation, plus persuasion as high as you can. And Lita, seeing India and Joji make an offering to the goddess in front of you, what is it that you do?
I try to not get drawn in if possible.
Well, as supplicants, they are off the heat of their lust and want of each other and the happiness in that idea. And how would you not be drawn into that? Has Lita ever had the opportunity of being loved by someone else, as far as she's aware? Has she had the opportunity of loving someone else, as far as she is aware? And
She's boyfriends.
Not quite what's being asked, but close enough. It's a difference that is completely non-existent unless, of course, you have partaken wholly. And in her case, in that moment, not being able to separate the two and accounting for them all as one thing, what is the opposite of that and those interactions for her?
She's a little into it, but she's not on in to Miri. She's trying to keep her senses about her.
Okay, so she's holding herself aloft, which gives Miri time to gently rifle through the stacks of the records of her thoughts. Like a DJ on a odd Wednesday looking for the next track that they're going to be playing in the practice for their next show. They're looking for just that one thing, that great track with a multi-use, sped down, slowed up, chopped, screwed, remixed, blended into something else, something that shouldn't go together but does because it has the right tempo and the right sound, has the right intro. That's what's happening for Lita as she attempts to distance herself from the circuit shorting joining of wants. Flame of their bond, their need in this moment, the unexplored boundaries of what they could be, will be, might be, exploding into the space of the room, allowing justice to silently slip from existence. And Miri to raise a brow as she looks towards you and then back towards them. She stands from her throne, it dissipating into nothingness as she begins to draw closer. Because the problem with mirrors, it doesn't reflect what actually is. It reflects what we think we see. It reflects the world as we think it is. Our perception altered by our own personal stigmatisms and lack of focus, our nearsightedness, our farsightedness, our belief that the mirror reflects and inverts what we see. It is our altered perceptions based on our individualized view on things that we see each and every time we stare into the mirror. Each and every time we see the world as we hope, fear, or want it to be reflected back to us. And we get so accustomed to this very solipsistic view on things that we confuse it for the opposite of what's actually in reality around us. But it's not the opposite. And much like that truism, much like that fact, Mary dives into the antithesis to what's actually there based on the fantasized romantic ideal of what is there. And as you all connect and bind and lock and blend all of the thoughts that came before into a soup, undigestible by anyone, including yourselves in the moment, she smirks to touch, become part of the circuit between you two, and she looks at Lita. Oh, really? Under the spirit? Let her and forsake the spirit. And on that note, as her smile, her smirk becomes a little darker, I'd like to thank you all for our lovely episode. See you guys next time.
Oh, fuck! Oh, no. This is what happens when